Okay, we're working on lesson 18.3. So more multiplying with the binomials. This lesson is on special products of binomials. So this lesson is a lot of the same that we just learned on 18.2. So all the multiplying polynomials, except now you're going to learn little shortcuts. And so if the shortcuts make sense to you, you can use them. If they don't, you don't need to use them. So today's lesson is just here's another way to do these. Okay, first we have things called perfect square trinomials. And a perfect square trinomial would be a plus b squared. So when I do FOIL, I use FOIL to actually solve this. This is what it looks like. So a plus b squared, that is just a plus b times a plus b. Anything squared is times itself. Like 7 squared is 7 times 7. X squared is x times x. So a plus b squared is a plus b times a plus b. Okay, then we're just going to FOIL that out. A times a is a squared. A times b is ab. B times A is BA, but we usually put things in alphabetical order. So B times A is still just A times B. And then B times B is B squared. And then just combine like terms. I have an AB and I have another AB. So really I have two of those ABs. So I still have my A squared and I have my B squared. So a plus b squared, if you don't want to do all of this work and FOIL it out, you can just start to memorize that a plus b squared comes out to this. This is called a perfect square trinomial. It also works if there's a minus sign. So if I have a minus b squared, so a minus b squared is a minus b times a minus b. So if you want, you can just FOIL it out the long way. That's typically what I end up doing because I always forget all the tricks. A times a is a squared. A times negative b. So a positive times a negative is minus. A times b is ab. Then the inner two, negative b times a. A negative times a positive is going to make this negative. B times a, remember multiplication is commutative, so you can switch it around. B times a is the same as a times b. So we usually put things in alphabetical order. So b times a is the same as a times b. So negative b times a is still negative ab. Negative b times negative b. Negative times a negative is positive. So be careful. Negative b times negative b is positive. And b times b is b squared. Okay, combine. If I have a negative ab and then I have another negative ab, I have negative 2 of those ab's. I still have an a squared and a b squared at the end. No, he's not. And that's your final, that's your shortcut if there's a minus sign between the a and the b. Next one we're going to do is called the difference of two squares. And the difference of two squares looks like this. It'll say a plus b times a minus b. If you see those, a binomial by a binomial like this, a times a is a squared. A times negative b. So a positive a times a negative b. A positive times a negative is negative. A times b is ab. Then we have a positive b times a positive a. So put a plus sign. B times a, we always put it in alphabetical order. B times a is really just a times b. And then positive b times negative b. A positive times a negative is negative. B times b is b squared. And then we're going to combine. If I have a negative 1ab and I have a positive 1ab, I now have no more ab's. I have 0 ab's, so I don't need to put that down. I just have a squared, and then I have that minus b squared. And that's what it ends up being. Okay, so today we're going to be practicing these three different things. And again, you can use the shortcut, or if the shortcut does not make sense to you, you can always do just regular FOIL. Okay, let's try, oh, does anyone need this up still? Okay, example 1a. For example 1, we're going to be looking at these questions that look like this. Example 2 will be like this, and example 3 will be like these ones. So first we're going to start with that perfect square trinomial with a plus sign. So all of these with example 1, they're going to look like a plus b squared. So when you finish with them, you should end up with a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Oh, you can't see that. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how to do this, just the regular FOIL, the long way, and then we'll practice doing the shortcut. 1a, x plus 4 squared. X plus 4 squared is x plus 4 times x plus 4. Anything squared is times itself. Okay, so first, outer, inner, and last. So first times first, x times x is x squared. X times 4, or 4 times x, is 4x. Then the inner terms, 4 times x is another 4x. And then the outer terms, 4 times 4 is 16. Combine like terms, 4x's and another 4x's makes 8x's. And it's a positive 8x. And I still have x squared, and I have plus 16. Okay, here's how we do it the shortcut way. So x plus 4, if it's in this format of a plus b, that means a is your x, b is the 4. Okay, a squared, a is x, so x squared. Plus, okay, now this I'm just going to kind of do to the side. 2 times a times b. 2 times a, which is x, times b, which is 4. 2 times x times 4. So 2 times 4 is 8x. Then your plus sign. And then b squared. 4 squared is 16. And there's your answer. So you can use the shortcut, or you can just go ahead and FOIL. Okay, let's try another one. (3x plus 2y's squared). Again, I'm going to do the long way and then also the shortcut way. Okay, 3x times 3x. That's 9x squared, because 3 times 3 and x times x. Then I have 3x times 2y's. So this is 3 times x times 2 times y. So 3 times 2 is 6, positive 6. X times y is just xy. Then 2y times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. Y times x, we usually put in alphabetical order, so do x times y. And then last, 2y's times 2y's. 2 times 2 is 4. Y times y is y squared. And then combine like terms. 6xy's plus 6xy's. So I end up with 9x squared plus 6 and 6 makes 12 of those xy's plus 4y squared. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the shortcut. So 3x, this is your A, 2y is your B. So you're going to do a squared plus 2ab's plus b squared. Okay, so a is 3x. We're going to square that. 3x times 3x, that's 9x squared, plus 2 times 3x times 2y. 2 times 3x times 2y. So multiply all the numbers. 2 times 3 times 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. And then an x and a y. And then b squared. B is 2y. So 2y times 2y is 4y squared. Okay, again, I don't care which way you use. Whatever way you want to do. Okay, now you're going to be working with your tables. Um, 4 plus x squared, and then square that. 4x squared plus another 4x squared. For just the x squareds, I now have 8 of those x squareds. And it's a positive 8. I still have 16, and I have an x to the 4th. If you prefer to write it in standard form, or if the directions obviously say it, you would have to put that x to the 4th first, then the x squared, and finally the constant would go at the end. Questions on these so far? Just by a show of hands, how many are using the shortcut? Just so I can get an idea. Okay. And then the rest of you are foiling it out? Okay. Yeah, I don't love doing the shortcut just because I always forget and wonder if I'm doing it right. So I end up going back and using FOIL anyhow. Okay, number 2. Negative x plus 3 squared. Okay, go ahead and figure that one out. If I have negative 3x's and another negative 3x's, I really have negative 6 of those x's. And there's your final answer. Okay, so that was practicing the perfect square trinomials that had the plus sign. Now we're going to practice the perfect square trinomials that have the minus sign. Okay, so for example 2, these ones will be a minus b squared, and their answers will end up looking like a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, 2a, x minus 5, and squared. So x minus 5 is really x minus 5 times x minus 5. So if you like to FOIL it out, you can still do that. First, x times x is x squared. Outer, x times negative 5. X times negative 5, or negative 5 times x, is negative 5x. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. What? Yeah, or positive 1x times negative 5. Positive 1 times a negative 5 is negative 5, and there's still an x being multiplied. Then we're going to do the inner terms. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And then last term times last term. Negative 5 times negative 5. Negative times a negative is positive, so put a plus sign. And 5 times 5 is 25. Combine your like terms. I have negative 5x's and another negative 5x's. Then altogether I have negative 10 of those x's. Okay, then we're going to check it with the shortcut. So for x minus 5, x minus 5, so x is going to be your a value, 5 will be your b value, because it needs to have the minus sign already in there. So 5 is your b. Okay, a squared is x squared, and we have to put a minus sign. Dana put it away. 2 times a times b. So 2 times x times 5. If you need to write it out, 2 times x times 5. 2 times x times 5, that's really 10x. And then plus whatever the b is squared. 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Which is the answer we already got by doing FOIL. So if you like doing the shortcut, you can do it. Okay, let's try 2b. Six x minus 1 squared. So 6x times 6x is 36x squared. 6x times negative 1 is negative 6x. Negative 1 times 6x is negative 6x, and negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Combine your like terms. If I have negative 6x's and another negative 6x's, I have negative 12x's. Questions on these so far? A negative times a negative is positive 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Yeah. Okay, these ones you can go work with a friend on them. Four x minus 3y squared. And you can do it either way. You can do FOIL or you can do the shortcut. 24 of those xy's. And I still have 16x squared, and I have plus 9y squared at the end. Okay, let's try another one. Three minus x squared squared. Okay, work on that with a friend. I have 9. For my x squareds, I have negative 3 of them, and I have another negative 3 of those. So for x squareds, I now have negative 6 of the x squareds. You can leave it like this, or if you want to write it in standard form, the biggest degree goes first, so the x to the 4th goes first, then the x squareds, and then last comes the constant, and that's a positive 9, so you get a plus 9. Questions on these? We're going to do one more example, and then we'll finish the lesson tomorrow. Does anyone need this still up before I change my paper? You good, Tony? Okay, last example, we're going to start it. And this is the difference of two squares. Okay, so difference in two squares is going to be a plus b times a minus b. And when we do those, we end up with a squared minus b squared. Okay, we're just going to do one example here. So 3a, and then we'll finish this tomorrow. 3a says x plus 6 times x minus 6. Okay, this time I'm going to do the shortcut first. So a and b, or a and b. So a is the letter x, b is the number 6. So your answer is going to be whatever the a value is squared. So the a value is x. So x squared minus the b value squared. B is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Okay, or we're going to FOIL it out. X times x is x squared. X times negative 6. So a positive times a negative is negative. 6 times x is 6x. Then positive 6 times x. 6 times x is 6x. And finally, I have 6 times negative 6. I have a positive times a negative, so negative. 6 times 6 is 36. Combine your like terms. If I have negative 6x's and then I add 6 more x's, I now have no more x's. So the x's are gone. I have 0 of them, so I'm left with x squared minus 36. Okay, tomorrow we will do the other the other one that goes with 3a. We'll do 3b, and then we'll do the on your owns, and then you'll work on your exit ticket tomorrow.